Mukta Ghookal, and I am a practitioner of Heartfulness Meditation, and I have been meditating now for 27 years, and I've been a trainer for 2.5 years. I'm going to give you a brief introduction about Heartfulness Institute and all about our practices, as well as the experience of it. Now, I know we're running short, so if I fly through some of the slides, please forgive me, and I will take some questions on them later at the end. So I want to just introduce you and talk to you a little about who we are as an institute. We're a global non-profit organization, and we are associated with the United Nations in bringing about peace through the heart. And we do this by offering health and wellness workshops through corporations, through universities, through the community. Okay, we're completely volunteer run and volunteer funded, and we are in about 130 countries currently. We are also we also do have trainers who offer their time, and all this is done for free. And the reason we do this is because we're so inspired by our own journeys and our own experiences with heartfulness that we, want to be able to share. So let's go more into why we use the heart, right? Are you seeing the screen with the why meditate using the heart?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We see our session today.
I'm seeing two screens actually, so that's what's confusing me. I'm seeing the Zoom screen and then I'm seeing another screen, but it's not showing me where you are. So why we meditate using the heart, right? The heart is the primary organ, and when you focus on nourishing it there, nourishing the physical organ, you'll see that it also affects how you feel emotionally, how you feel mentally, because all our emotions lie also in the heart, and mastering our emotions helps our relationships blossom. The third reason that is really important about why we use the heart is that all living beings are connected by the heart. So when you connect there, you will be feeling a bit more connected to the rest of the world and the living beings around you. The heart is also known in religion and culture to be the seat of the soul. So when you connect here, you're also connecting to your highest self. I'm going to go into a little bit about heartfulness and yoga. And heartfulness practices are all about inner self-development. It's about bringing about the natural shifts in consciousness through our thoughts, feelings, and actions. So in heartfulness, we are refining the subtle body, and this is made up of the chit, the manas, buddhi, and ego. The Sanskrit word, as most of you will know, for yoga is yug, which means to combine or to unite. So once you learn to master your emotions, you're better able to unite deeper into your hearts. And from that space, you're able to draw clarity, you're able to draw guidance, you're able to draw inspiration. But in order to get there, you first have to understand what your emotions are doing for you, whether they're helping your evolution or whether they're hurting your evolution. And in heartfulness, we call this spiritual anatomy. Now, the other thing that's really unique about heartfulness is that we learn a lot from scriptures, we learn a lot from spiritual lectures, from modern books on spirituality. But as the lecture ends, and when we finish reading the book, we remain the same as before, right? Experience is really the goal that backs the currency of knowledge. And heartfulness allows you to experience that through your own heart. It is about experiencing your inner self. It teaches us how to dive deep into our heart in a natural state of love, peace, and calmness. When we practice regularly, meditation will help us tune into our heart and develop our capacity to remain poised and balanced at all times. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about impressions, and how you will understand your emotions. Impressions are really anything that we're carrying within our system. And I'm going to give you an example. If you just came off the subway and you're walking to work, and on the way you see a pizza stand, and by the time you get to work, you're already hungry. You don't even know why, okay? the reason is that the smell of the pizza triggers something within you. Now, it's not something that happens consciously, it's something that happens subliminally. So your senses, through your senses, you constantly, you're constantly creating impressions as well as accumulating impressions. Now, these impressions affect your emotions and they affect how you react or act in the world. They are all the emotional, mental baggage that we carry within us, and they lodge in our system in different points. In heartfulness, the mind becomes regulated and refined. So we learn how to simplify our thinking process from many channels into one channel. And this is done through the process of meditation. So the important thing here is that we're not only learning to meditate, but we're learning to carry that meditative state forward. And when we learn to do that, we find that our chit, our ego, our intellect, our manas, everything gets refined. As the ego gets refined, we realize our mistakes, we learn about what changes are needed to be made and what work needs towards becoming more selfless versus leading and being led only by our desires and by the things that we are conditioned to. As the intellect is refined, we find that inspiration and intuition develops as well and develops into wisdom. I'm having a lot of people ask a few things on the chat, so I'm not paying attention to that right now.
Mukta?
Yes.
Is it possible you could send a link to the PowerPoint in the chat, because we're still having trouble to see anything other than the first slide?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me just a second. I'm trying to find your chat screen now.
The chat box is right to the left of where it says share screen at the bottom.
Yeah.
Is there a little bar at the bottom of the screen with forward and back arrows?
I'm just getting out to I can copy paste it for you. It doesn't allow me to just drop and drag it. Okay, I have changed screens. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm really sorry about all this.
It's okay.
No problem at all.
We're all learning this Zoom new way.
Yeah, I think I should not have listened to my husband and gone through the two screen display because I thought it would be easier for me. Or it's not. ना तो मैंने खबर है बात करती थी कि नहीं जाती. Okay, we only have about 40 minutes left. So I'm going to jump to the essentials, and I'm really sorry about this. Okay, so you all are seeing Heartfulness and Yoga screen?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And I just covered this, right? Okay, so I was talking about impressions. And I was telling you that impressions form throughout all our actions, right? And these are all the emotional and mental baggages that we carry within us, and they form knots within our system. Now, if we don't tackle these knots, then they basically define how we act and how we respond. In Heartfulness, we have a practice which is called Rejuvenation, which helps you to remove these emotional mental baggages, right? But it's also a complementary process to the meditation, because the meditation is actually the thing that connects you to your heart. Now, I'm going to quickly go over a bit of the spiritual anatomy and try and share a video. And hopefully, this will work, which will explain a lot more about how emotions lodge in your system. And we'll do a shortcut of the spiritual anatomy. Can you hear it?
Everyone wants to live fully in the present. This is an
Okay.
ongoing mantra that we hear everywhere.
Yes, we hear
Be
it.
in the moment. Seize the day. Live for right now. But very few people know what this means or how to actually implement it. We are continuously reacting to our environments. Someone cuts us off in traffic, we get angry. Someone laughs at us, we feel embarrassed. Someone breaks our heart, we find ourselves plummeted into a season of despair. These reactions feel visceral, impossible to dodge or avoid. And there is a reason for this. Most of our emotional reactions have deep roots in the past. They're part of an emotional pattern that has been deepened over time. It gets strengthened when we repeatedly entertain an emotion, when we repeatedly react in the same old way. Every time I react with anger, I become more likely to choose anger as a first response. That anger is always just under the surface, just waiting to come out. With every emotional reaction that we have, we deepen that same underlying emotional trend. Emotion is kind of like water. When water flows over the same ground, it slowly carves out a channel for itself. Eventually, it becomes a rushing river. As the riverbed becomes wider, the currents become stronger. When we react with anger or pain or shame over and over again, the more anger or pain or shame we draw into our lives, the currents become stronger. With every reaction, we're actually creating a blueprint for the future. We're creating a precedent or a template for how we're going to think or feel or behave the next time. And then, in the future, some external situation will come along and re-trigger that emotion yet again. If there was no anger already inside me, being cut off in traffic wouldn't frustrate me. If there wasn't any insecurity already ingrained in my psyche, then being laughed at wouldn't ruin my day. If there was no discomfort associated with being alone, then being single wouldn't feel like such an unconquerable inconvenience. We will never have full control over the circumstances in our lives, but we can learn to regulate our inner state so that our external circumstances don't have control over us. To do this, we need to address those deep impulses that orchestrate our emotional reactions. In fact, these impulses, which have their roots in the past, can actually be cleaned away through certain practices. But even if you adopt such a practice, that cleaning will still be a gradual process. In the meantime, we can also learn to become non-reactive to those deep impulses. By tuning into the heart and remaining connected inside, we become capable of choosing a different response, of choosing joy or even gratitude. And the more we learn to live from the heart, the more we realize that we do in fact have a choice. We can choose to react according to the same old patterns, or we can choose to respond with the heart instead and become free from those burdens of the past. With every reflexive reaction that we have, we give up our free will a little bit and allow ourselves to be controlled by our tendencies instead. With every heartful response, we become free. The more we use our hearts in our lives, the less impact our circumstances have on us, and the more freedom we gain.
Okay, are you still able to see the screen now?
Yes.
All right. So that was Joshua Pollock, and Joshua Pollock is the co-author of the book, The Heartfulness Way. And the Heartfulness Way talks all about the spiritual anatomy and how emotions form around the heart, and how through meditation and through focusing on the heart, we're able to transcend these triggers. I'm not going to go more into this because I'm looking at the time, and I really want to give you the experience instead of going into the philosophy of it, especially since we've lost so much of the time. Now, I will share a little bit about why people should try out heartfulness, right? It is a very simple, natural process. It's very easy to integrate. There's no dogmas, there's no mandates, it's completely free. And it's something that you can easily adopt with any other cultural practice or religious practice. I started this when I was 16 years old. And I found that with tuning in with transmission, the more I meditated, the more relief I found from the daily stresses, right? There was a natural regulation of my heart and the mind field, and it became easier to prioritize things. It made me positive and enthusiastic. On a deeper level, I also noticed that by tuning into me more, I was gaining inner strength and also developing patience and empathy. Tolerance became natural, and it doesn't, and these are definitely traits today that you see the need for, given that we are struggling with COVID, as well as the social and the emotional tensions that are building up. Another thing about this practice that I really loved is that it does allow you to develop your inner radar. And wow, what I love is that there's no dependence on anything external, right? There's no do's and don'ts. It's all about you learning to meditate with this yogic transmission and being able to navigate life through the inspirations and through the solutions that come from within. When you shift your focus from the mind to the heart, there's a space and a stillness that is nurtured. And from that space, you find clarity, you find solutions, you find perspective. And this brings about a very transformative angle to how you deal with the outside world. The uniqueness about this approach is that each individual is getting guidance that is relative to their own needs, right? Their own situation, their own circumstances. And this creates a transcendental pathway to limitations, because you are now having to look at yourself at a deeper level. And you're able to create change in a very natural, organic manner from within yourself. As you tune into transmission, you find that your inner consciousness begins to get heightened, and a self-awareness develops that gives you a stronger self purpose. As life experiences, norms, unnecessary emotional relational bondages, external social cultural limitations, they all begin to become naturally regulated and naturally prioritized. This was this is a very powerful experience when you actually go through it, and it's really very necessary in today's time, because you can see that we are more and more sort of put in a pressure cooker situation where there is no freedom outside to express our needs or to find answers from the outside. The other thing that I really love about this is that Heartfulness really is a one-stop shop, right? Everything you need is within you. You don't have to go exploring anywhere. You don't have to go to, through various rituals to discover yourself. It's all about a natural regulation and a natural balance that comes from within you. And this occurs in all of your activities. You find that things you are struggling to let go of easily fall away, and that it becomes very easy to bring change into your life. There's no force, there's no authority from the outside other than your own heart's guidance, working to regulate your system emotionally, mentally, physically for your inner well being. In that sense, Heartfulness does really beat the one stop shop, right? Because here it's for free. There's no charges to it. It's really an experimental process. Whatever you put into it is definitely what you'll get out of it, just like a diet. So the effort that you put into your diet is what you're going to get out of it. Similarly, with Heartfulness, the effort will bear the fruits in bringing about shifts in your consciousness, whether it's in your thoughts, in your feelings, or your actions. So we're going to get into the meditation process now. And I wanted to talk about the most common obstacle to the meditation process, and that is how to deal with thoughts, right? One of the simplest analogies that I could give you is if you go to a restaurant and you're having a chat with friends, and there's really loud music playing, it's a really busy, pumping place, how do you concentrate on the conversation with your friend? What helps you concentrate on that conversation with your friend? Even though there's so much of noise and even though there's so much of interruption, there's two things. One is the interest that you have in your friend's conversation, and two is your willingness to block out the noise. So you apply the same methodology in meditation here. You understand that the mind is actually doing its job, which is to process, which is to have thoughts, but you don't get caught up in the conversation with the thoughts, because meditation simply means to think continuously about one thing. Now, in heartfulness, this one thing is about the source of light in the heart. That is actually the suggestion that you're going to be putting for your meditation. Before we get started, I want you to understand that whatever attitude and filters you come with will also determine how you feel about this meditation. Suppose, for example, if you're really tired, well, you're not going to be able to focus in meditation. Or if you're really hungry, right, the only thing that you're going to be thinking about is food. So your attitude also does play a role in the meditation. And in heartfulness, there's only really two requirements. One is the willingness to participate, and two is the openness to the actual experience. Most of us spend our entire lives on the material world and our mental mind frame, right? So when we enter this heartfulness process of meditation, it's a silent process. There's no music, there's no mantras, there's no rituals. It's really just moving from your mind's noise to the quiet of the heart. Now, for a lot of people, that itself is a tricky thing. That itself is a tormenting thing. But with transmission, you will find that these tendencies of the mind sort of get regulated and you're able to focus more on the heart. So take this experience as a learning curve of just being able to move from your mind's busyness to the simplicity of your heart. And we start off with this concept or the suggestion of this source of light in the heart. The reason we meditate on this idea of light in the heart is because it's an abstract concept and it's not something that your mind can visualize. So you're not going to be visualizing a diya or a candlelight or sunlight. It's really the feeling of lightness in the heart, right? So you're going to be bringing your attention to your heart and you're going to tell yourself, I'm going to experience this source of light within my heart, which is the source of life and love, and allow the transmission to connect you or tune you deeper into the meditative state. Now, after the meditation, it's very important to be silent for a few minutes so that whatever you experience actually settles within you and allows you to be able to carry that meditative state, even after the actual meditation ends. That is how clarity and perspective develops. It develops through this ability to be quiet even after the meditation and being able to witness what surfaces from within. So let's get started. Before we get started, there's a lot of talk about transmission. So to give you an analogy of what transmission is, we already have radio transmission, we have car transmission, and transmission simply means to send across, right? Just like you have the ability to listen to the radio in the car, you have the ability to listen to the radio on your phone, anywhere you go. Similarly, you have this yogic energy, which is the energy of the heart. And this allows you to feel and feel this within your heart, even though you are not in close proximity to a meditation trainer, but this energy is transmitted through them to your heart, and it allows you to having a more enriched experience and allows you to tune into a deeper state of consciousness within yourself. So before we get started, I please request you all to have your phones silent so that it doesn't bother the meditation and it doesn't, give us a knee-jerk reaction to anybody that has the eyes closed. And can I request that everybody goes on mute? Now, before we get started, I want you to notice how you're feeling physically, how you're feeling emotionally, how you're feeling mentally, and how you're feeling in your heart space. And just, that could be that you're hungry physically or emotionally, you could be, rejuvenated, or you could be a little frustrated from all the technical issues that you've had to deal with because of me. Mentally, you could be feeling alert or sluggish. So just make a mental note of all these things and see how you feel after the meditation in those areas. And you should be able to feel a perceptible change. I'm going to walk you through the guided relaxation first, which will help you relax the body. And this, when we do this, you're going to be closing your eyes and you're going to be focused on all of the body parts that I'm going to walk you through with the suggestion that they are relaxing. So two things are necessary. One is your attention on that body part with your eyes closed, and two is the power of your thought, which will work to relax that body part. At the end of the relaxation, I will bring you into the heart space and say, please start meditation. At that point, I will be transmitting, and you will be suggesting to yourself that there's this source of light in the heart, and that starts the meditation off for you, and allow that feeling of the source of light to percolate. Now, generally, all you have to do is remain open to this idea, and when thoughts come, thank the mind for processing the thoughts, but bring your attention gently back to the heart, and again, try and feel. You just have to wait and see what experience comes from it. So we're going to get started, if everybody is ready, with the guided relaxation. Please close your eyes for me. And make a mental note of how you're feeling on those levels that I mentioned: physically, emotionally, mentally, and in your heart space. Sit in a comfortable position and allow your feet to be touching the floor. And bring your attention to your toes. Wiggle them. And allow this energy of Mother Earth to enter from your feet, relaxing your feet, climbing up your calves, into your knees, all the way to the top of your thighs, into your buttock, relaxing them. And you can visualize this energy moving up. Suggest to yourself that it's being relaxed. And allow this energy to move up into your hips and your stomach. Into your chest. Into your throat. Into your face. Your mouth. Your nose. Your ears. Your eyes. Climbing up all the way to the forehead. Now gently draw your attention to the back and allow this energy to climb up from the back into your lower back, into your mid back, into your upper back, releasing all the stress and all the tension you carry in your shoulders. Allow this energy to move downwards into your arms and allow it to ooze out from your fingertips. Allow this energy to move up into your neck, up the base of your skull, to the middle of your crown, all the way in front of your forehead. Now imagine all your thoughts floating away. And let them go. Now your body and your mind should feel relaxed. And with this relaxed state of body and mind, we bring our attention to the heart. Just where your heartbeat is, bring your attention there with your eyes closed. And suggest to yourself that there is a source of light there, a source of love and life that is drawing you inward, that you would like to experience this inner realm. If thoughts come and go, simply brush them away. Redirect the mind's attention to the heart. Remind yourself that you're meditating and allow yourself again to be absorbed in this source of light. I will start the meditation now by saying, please start, and at the end, I will end by saying, that's all. So suggest to yourself that you are allowing this source of light within your heart to draw your attention inward, and hold this thought and wait. Please begin meditation. That's all. Please keep your eyes closed for a few more seconds and just allow them to lay on your heart and see what comes. Witness if there is any shift on how you feel from your mental note in the beginning, from the physical or the emotional or the mental or the heart space level. And when you're ready, you can slowly, gently open your eyes. So thank you so much for having me and joining me for this session. I hope it inspires you to try out Heartfulness Meditation. And here are some resources and also a endorsement from Chris Chappell, who is at LMU. And this is Heartfulness Way book that I talked about earlier. And unfortunately, we missed a lot of the referencing that I was going to do from Designing Destiny. You can always look them up in Amazon. And the only funds we make is through the sales of these books. All the workshops that we have, the one-on-one sessions with the trainer, they're all free. And if any of you are interested in connecting for meditation one-on-one, I'm going to be sending out this information to, I think, one of the admin people, and it'll come up on the screen as well right now. So you can take a screenshot. Hotspots is one of the ways that you can connect with a trainer in your own area. And you can download that and put in your address, and it'll pull up a Heartfulness trainer that's the closest to you, or that's the website for any more information. I have left a list of resources here that relates to yoga and the spiritual anatomy, as well as the evolution of consciousness. And I think you'll find it really interesting. And it's in the Heartfulness magazine. And that looks kind of like this. And that's also a free resource that you could download online. I will be offering, I do weekly sessions. And if you're interested in joining me for a one-on-one, you can join me weeknight at 9 a.m. and as well as 8 p.m. on Thursdays. And if you're interested in taking this meditation up as a meditative practice, then it does require 3 sessions that are run consecutively. And those will include the meditation, the rejuvenation, the contemplation, which form the other aspects or the other elements of heartfulness. So this is, you have to schedule that with me if you're interested, or you can contact a trainer near you. So if you like, you can take a screenshot of this. I'm going to take a few questions if anybody has any through the chat. I know
I'd like to just pop in and say that I was with the Heartfulness community about a year ago in India. Lovely, lovely. And the director lived for so many years on Staten Island, person of Indian origin, now back in India. And it's a beautiful technique and a very, very, very dedicated community. And our time together in Madurai in South India was just really remarkable. And they're branded so nicely. Everything is in that just lovely, lovely blue. And their production value is very high.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chappell, for those thoughts. I definitely appreciate being able to come on here and giving the session. I know we had a lot of technical issues that sort of left out a lot of the philosophy I'd like to share, but at least you guys all got the experience, and that's the important part. So let's take a look at some questions.
Does anybody else?
So this is not a meditation technique that you do laying down, and that is because you'll fall asleep. And in fact, when you're sitting, they also prescribe that when you're sitting up, you don't sort of do that. There are meditations where you will fall asleep, and that is not a state of sleep. That is a state of yoga nidra, and transmission allows you to reach that state very quickly.